From the station working for you, this is WRTV News at Noon, streaming now.
And good afternoon. I'm Lauren Casey. Thanks for joining us here on the News at Noon on WRTV. My colleague Todd Clausen is at home this midday. And Todd, it is a great day. I did step outside for just a moment earlier this morning. What can we expect for our lunch hour?
You know, absolutely perfection out there, Lauren, and one of those days where you need to be outside as much as possible. You don't get these days very often in the middle to latter half of the month of August with no humidity and all the sunshine that we have out there. Now, this morning, it was one of the coolest mornings we have seen in a long, long time, especially to the north. Kokomo all the way down to 49 degrees this morning. 53 was the overnight low in Muncie. Indianapolis, just a little bit warmer in the city, as you would expect, with a low temperature of 58 degrees. Right now we're back up into the 70s, and that's what you can do with sunshine and low humidity. You can cool it off real quick, but you can warm it up just as quick, and that's what we've done with just a few fair weather clouds building in here, as you see across parts of Bloomington and the campus of IU. Most of the clouds, though, will just be a fair weather one here or there. Enjoy the sunshine this afternoon, and these very, very comfortable temperatures that'll go up another couple degrees from where they are right now. We should hold pretty steady right around 78 to 79 degrees throughout the course of the afternoon hours. And then this evening, just know if you are going to be out and about, once the sun sets, which is right around 8:35, that is when it's going to start to cool off very quickly. We start tomorrow morning in the 50s once again. More on that forecast and a look ahead to your weekend, Lauren, coming up in just a few minutes.
Todd, thank you. New this midday, WRTV has been reporting on the complaints from some downtown business owners about the conditions in their area. The city says it is trying to help. Today, Mayor Joe Hogsett committed $750,000 in city funding to the plan being developed by the Downtown Recovery Committee. That money will be dedicated to the economic help as well as public safety and public health.
Funding from our city to address public safety first will specifically go to increased foot and bike patrol. Our organization currently employs off-duty officers that bike and walk around downtown, but this will certainly at least quadruple the number of hours that they spend on our downtown sidewalks.
The money here will also boost the use of security cameras in the downtown area. Downtown Indy will also launch a safety ambassador program. It will employ civilians and cadet police officers to offer more security. The new COVID-19 numbers are in from the State Department of Health. They show a drop in the number of new cases, but also a sizable drop in the number of new tests that were conducted. 506 new cases were reported, along with 14 new deaths. But as you can see, fewer than 6,000 new people were tested in the state of Indiana. That's well off the recent averages we've seen in our state. Virtual learning is a new challenge for teachers, students, and their families. For one program at Indianapolis Public Schools, there's actually an added hurdle, a language barrier. Rachel Mitchell teaches English as a second language to 3rd through 5th graders. Before the school year started this week, she spent some time taking pictures of her classroom to show to her students. That way, if and when they return to in-person learning, they're familiar with the setting. Remote learning also means helping students learn new technology. Mitchell says that she'll be reviewing how to use the remote learning devices and Microsoft Teams daily, along with what she calls brain breaks to fight fatigue and keep kids focused.
Sitting in front of the computer for hours on end, it's tiring for us, so we've been thinking of cool ways that we can get the kids moving and active and keeping them engaged, because it's going to be a long day every day.
Well, Mitchell says that she and other teachers will be swapping ideas over the course of the school year to make that remote learning as successful as possible. So other schools and colleges continue to battle the impacts of the coronavirus on their classrooms and in athletics. In-person undergrad classes at Notre Dame are now suspended after a spike of COVID-19 cases on that campus. The university says that students will take part in remote instruction only for the next 2 weeks. 147 cases have been confirmed since the semester started last week. The university president says he's decided against sending students home after consulting with health experts. But student activity there is restricted, so that includes limited access to dorms and major gathering places on campus. And then at Greenfield Central High School, the football games have been temporarily suspended after one player tests positive for the virus. According to a letter sent to the parents, that football player began experiencing symptoms of COVID-19 on Monday. All players and members of the football staff are in a 14-day quarantine. The suspension will last through the end of the month. Upcoming games against Plainfield and Whiteland High Schools have been canceled. They will not be rescheduled. Now to Democracy 2020 coverage. Former South Bend Mayor Pete Buttigieg delivered Indiana's share of the delegates to the man who used to be his presidential rival last night. Now that Joe Biden is officially the Democratic presidential nominee, the party's convention will hear tonight from his former boss. ABC's Inez de la Cutera takes a look at the latest.
I am proud
with an unconventional virtual roll call.
25 votes for our next president, Joe Biden.
Former Vice President Joe Biden officially becoming the Democratic nominee for president. The state of Delaware, the final state to cast their delegates for Biden.
Thank you very, very much from the bottom of my heart.
Closing out the night, a personal speech from the woman who knows Biden best.
4 days after Bo's funeral, I watched Joe shave and put on his suit. I saw him steel himself in the mirror, take a breath, put his shoulders back, and walk out into a world empty of our son. He went back to work. That's just who he is.
The party showcasing Joe Biden's broad range of support, from an elevator operator.
I take powerful people up on my elevator all the time. When they get off, they go to their important meetings. Me, I just head back to the lobby. But in the short time I spent with Joe Biden, I could tell he really saw me, that he actually cared, that my life meant something to him.
To former presidents.
The difference is stark. You know what Donald Trump will do with 4 more years. Blame, bully, and belittle. And you know what Joe Biden will do. Build back better.
To the new generation, 17 rising star Democrats delivering a shared keynote address.
This year, all of us are on stage.
But also featuring several Republicans for the second night in a row. Cindy McCain lending her voice to a video about Biden's longtime friendship with her late husband, Republican Senator John McCain.
They would just sit and joke. It was like a comedy show sometimes to watch the two of them.
And Colin Powell, who worked as Secretary of State under Republican President George W. Bush, voicing his support for Biden.
Our country needs a commander-in-chief who takes care of our troops in the same way he would his own family.
And tonight, Senator Kamala Harris poised to make history when she accepts the nomination to be Biden's running mate. And it'll be former President Barack Obama's turn to give the keynote address. Inez de la Cutera, ABC News, Washington.
Our coverage of Democracy 2020 continues this evening with night 3 of the Democratic Convention. As you heard, the featured speakers include Vice Presidential nominee Kamala Harris and former President Barack Obama. Live coverage begins at 10 o'clock tonight right here on WRTV. And be sure to stay tuned for the news at 11 right after our convention coverage. The need for blood is always great, and the location of this drive is not one you'll typically see. Next, we'll show you why the Bloodmobile is parked in the middle of John Deere Green. Todd.
And Lauren, as you walk outside, you're walking out to no humidity, nothing but sunshine, and it's a picture-perfect day here across central Indiana. We'll enjoy that sunshine not only today, but in the days ahead. We'll talk all about your extended forecast coming up, and the News at Noon continues right here on WRTV.
Welcome back. If you're looking for a chance to save a life and learn a little bit more about the machines that help to put food on your table, then Greenfield is the place to be. Today until about 4 o'clock, you can give blood at the Koenig John Deere dealership that's out in Greenfield. Because of the nationwide blood shortages, the John Deere dealership thought it would be a good chance for the community to give blood at a unique location. You can get up close to the tractors and heavy equipment, and there will also be safety demonstrations and hands-on driving opportunities. The dealership there says they just want to help out their community.
For us to have a blood drive here is really exciting for us, and it's just a way to give a gift, if you think about it, that literally touches your heart that goes to the next person's heart. It's a stranger you don't even know. What a wonderful way to help somebody out by donating blood.
The Hancock County Sheriff's Department and Greenfield Fire Department and also the Farm Bureau are helping with this event. Again, it's underway today and it runs until 4 o'clock at the John Deere dealership out in Greenfield. Well, we've heard a lot about the Postal Service and mail-in voting, so coming up, how one group is trying to cut through the noise and make sure you know how to make your vote count. And let's take a live look outside right now. A beautiful Wednesday here across central Indiana. Clear blue skies, as you can see from our Weather Now camera. We'll check in with Todd and his forecast for today and the rest of the week. Stick around, you're watching WRTV. Welcome back. Plans to overhaul the Postal Service appear to be on hold. The Postmaster General announced the pause after he agreed to testify to a House committee investigating the sudden changes that could impact mail-in voting this November. Indiana does not have a no-excuse voting by mail for the general election. Our own Cornelius Hawker talked to an organization that's focused on letting people know how they can exercise their right to vote.
COVID has really been a game changer for elections in the United States.
Rhea Kane, president of the League of Women Voters, has been tackling the changes created by COVID head on. One of the biggest being voting by mail to avoid the chance of catching coronavirus.
We as an organization are strongly encouraging folks to actually have their ballot in the mail no later than October 19th.
That's 3 days before the deadline to even apply for a mail-in ballot. But Rhea tells me it's important to do things as early as possible because Indiana isn't a state prepared for a huge increase of mail-in ballots.
We feel that is giving the clerks all throughout the state of Indiana enough time to get their ducks in a row.
Voting by mail has turned into a political issue after President Trump claimed it would lead to fraud, despite not having any evidence of that. And the current Postmaster General implementing changes which slowed down mail delivery, changes that have stopped until after the election. But the impact of all that is minimal on the work the League of Women Voters is doing.
I'm going to be real honest with you. It's not going to change too much of our messaging.
If you're worried about putting your ballot in the mail, but want to avoid long lines on November 3rd, Rhea offers up this alternative.
If you are able to vote early in person, so 28 days before the election, the clerk's office will be open and allow for early voting.
However you choose to vote, Rhea stresses it's important to plan ahead. And if you do have trouble, she urges you to reach out to your lawmakers, local, state, and federal to express your frustrations.
It is a constitutional right. Voting is not a privilege, it's a right. And so governments need to do everything in their power to make the voting booth as accessible as it can be to its citizens.
Working for you, Cornelius Hawker, WRTV.
Cornelius, thank you. And you can find everything you need to know about voting, whether it be by mail or in person. It's all at our website, WRTV.com. Well, it was a big race before the big race, the 41st annual Zoopolis 500 put on by the Indianapolis Zoo. The competition between tortoises was hot and heavy as usual, but this year's race was quite a bit faster than some previous races, and in the end, it was not even close. The tortoise named James easily won by at least 5 or 6 tortoise lengths over Simon and very much enjoyed his line of fruit salad at the end. The tortoises named Ed and Elio, well, they got a little off course and they never quite recovered. There he is. Speaking of IMS, the pranksters obviously are out and about. Check out this picture tweeted by the 2016 Indy 500 champion, Alexander Rossi. If you look closely there, you can see where the tires of his golf cart ended up. Rossi says he doesn't know who did this, but, quote, once I find out who it is, payback is going to be a painful lesson. So far, no one's taken responsibility for this prank. Pretty fun out there at the track, Todd. I wish we could all be out there because it is beautiful weather this week leading up to the race.
Yeah, you couldn't ask for better weather leading up to the 500 for what would be Carb Day Friday. It's good. Race day, just a real small chance of an isolated storm. We'll dive into that in just a second with your 7-day planning forecast. But right now, let's take a view from downtown off to the north, and you can see nothing but sunshine way off in the distance. A few fair weather clouds, and that is just about it. But take a look at the humidity level here. 44%. The air is really, really dry, and that's why I feel so comfortable out there. and there's just a little bit of a breeze out of the northeast currently at 12 miles per hour. Bloomington 74 degrees, 75 in Muncie, 73 right now in Tipton. Kokomo this morning was down to 49 degrees as one of our cooler spots on the map. But as you can see with the sunshine and the low humidity out there, we've been able to warm things up quite quickly. And speaking of humidity, the one thing you will notice over the next few days is the humidity is going to climb. Not so much tomorrow. Friday's still pretty comfortable. But as we get into the weekend, we start to get back into that muggy category. It doesn't become very oppressive out there, but it's more than that's out there right now, which is virtually nothing. So it's something you'll notice going forward throughout the remainder of the week. Radar is quiet. No rain in the forecast really until potentially late race day. That's when a few spotty storms could sneak in here, maybe a few on Saturday in some southern locations. But until then, high pressure is firmly in control of our forecast. 100% sunshine here this afternoon. Temperatures in the upper 70s to right around 80 degrees with those comfortable conditions. Now this evening, if you do have plans, it'll cool off fairly quick once the sun starts to set. Sunset officially is at 8:35 here this evening. And then by the time we get to 9 p.m. already down to 71 degrees, and then we'll fall through the 60s, and come tomorrow morning, temperatures are going to be very similar to where they were this morning, and that is going to be in the low to mid 50s across the area. Won't be shocked maybe once again if there's another upper 40-degree reading come tomorrow morning, but despite the cool start tomorrow, we'll warm very quickly once again on Thursday. Thursday sky cover is very similar to today. The only difference is tomorrow, I think potentially going to be a couple degrees warmer. I think we should be able to get the high temperature tomorrow up to 80 degrees at least, if not to maybe even 82 degrees. And then going forward, as we look ahead to the weekend, partly cloudy Friday, 84 degrees, mostly sunny on Saturday. As we get into race Sunday, 86 degrees with just a chance of a spot storm or two in the forecast. It's only about a 20% chance of seeing that storm. And then for those of you that didn't like that fall-like feel here this morning, well, don't worry, summer is still in place. Next week, warm and muggy once again as high temperatures get into the upper 80s to right around 90 degrees. Lauren.
All right, Todd, thank you so much. Well, the Oklahoma Zoo from Tiger King, the documentary, it's closing to the public. It's because the zoo's federal animal exhibition license was suspended. The USDA says it suspended the license for the Greater Wynwood Exotic Animal Park and its owner, Jeffrey Lowe. An inspection found multiple animal welfare violations. Lowe and previous owner, Joe Exotic, were among the personalities profiled in the hit Netflix show. News of the zoo's shutdown comes as reports say Netflix is working on a second season of Tiger King. Still ahead here on the news at noon, getting funky while getting students ready for a very different school year. We'll show you how some teachers are showing off their hip hop skills and getting students ready for the year. You're watching WRTV. Stick around, we'll be right back. So you may recall a couple weeks ago, we showed you the moves of Dr. Quentin Lee. He's the high school principal in Alabama, showing off his moves in a COVID-19 themed parody of MC Hammer's You Can't Touch This. Well, now there's a new video touching on the start of school during a pandemic. It's a little more contemporary, and these teachers may have set the hip hop bar very high, so take a look.
I can teach a class with swag, this drip hard. Go ahead, take a picture on your iPhone. To the school year, yeah, virtual. And you know Miss Williams go viral. Yeah. Talk to school, I'm a fool with the lesson. Come learn with me, I swear it's a blessing. Classes in session, and we just progressing. Success is the topic and passes the message. Woo!
Who is right? Teachers Audrey Williams and Callie Evans at Monroe High School down in Albany, Georgia, each created videos set to the tune of the song What's Poppin' by Jack Harlow. The teachers are also the cheerleading coaches at the school, and their hip-hop skills are a regular thing at Monroe High. They typically put out videos every school year. I want them as teachers, Todd. They look like a lot of fun.
All right, exactly. I totally agree with you there, Lauren. All right, outside right now, we are talking about lots of sunshine. It's a beautiful day for us. It'll be a beautiful afternoon and evening. I encourage you to get outside if you can. Virtually no humidity at all. 79 today with mostly sunny skies. Tomorrow morning, another cool start with temperatures in the 50s, up to 82 in the afternoon with sunny skies, 84 on Friday. Then we start to get more into the humidity again over the weekend, and then the humidity is definitely around as we go into next week as those high temperatures start to get into the mid to upper 80s all across the area. Lauren.
All right, Todd, thanks so much, and thanks for making WRTV your choice for news. Come back and join us for the news at 5. Get outside. Have a great afternoon.